Okay, pay close attention to yourself for just a second. Literally, just by thinking about the question on screen. Is your jaw starting to feel the urge to open? Right? Did you just unconsciously fight back a yawn? Well, if you did, relax, you are definitely not alone. In this explainer, we're going to unpack one of our absolute weirdest, most common, yet highly scientific and puzzling daily habits.
Welcome! Today we're diving into an everyday science mystery that is just incredibly relatable. The mystery of contagious yawning. It's something we've all experienced, right? You're sitting there, you see someone across the room yawn, or maybe you even see your pet yawn, and suddenly you feel this overwhelming urge to do the exact same thing. But have you ever actually stopped to think about why our bodies respond this way?
You know, in the scientific world, this isn't just some funny little coincidence. It's officially known as contagious yawning. And what's really amazing is that it's a subject of serious, hardcore research. We're talking about scientists in neuroscience, psychology, and primatology who have spent years studying why seeing, hearing, or even just thinking about someone yawning can trigger such an automatic biological drive in our bodies.
Okay, let's dive into this. Through years of research, the scientific community has essentially narrowed this down to three main theories. First, the social empathy theory. Second, the brain automatic reflex. And third, brain cooling thermoregulation.
So, let's start by looking at our first suspect, which is also the most dominant theory right now. Theory 1, social empathy.
Basically, this theory is all about how the human brain evolved to resonate with and read the emotions of other people, a concept psychologists actually call theory of mind. There was this absolutely fascinating 2011 study published in PLOS One by researchers Ivan Norcia and Elisabetta Pelagi, and they found something incredible. The rate at which you catch a yawn actually reveals how close you are to someone. Contagiousness is way highest among individuals with strong emotional bonds, like your family members and close friends. Conversely, when you see a total stranger yawn, your probability of catching it is actually much lower. So oddly enough, yawning together is actually a sign of emotional closeness.
But how exactly does this empathy work inside our heads? Well, the answer lies in what is called the mirror neuron system. When you sit there and watch your best friend yawn, special nerve cells in your brain, called mirror neurons, immediately fire up. These cells are basically hardwired to respond to and mimic the movements or emotions we're observing, unconsciously forcing us to align completely with them.
And this brilliantly illustrates what Stephen Pladek and his team discovered back in 2005 in cognitive brain research. Using fMRI scans, they observed the brains of people watching videos of others yawning, and the results? Totally stunning. Their brains lit up in the exact same areas that are directly responsible for social emotional processing and empathy, specifically the posterior cingulate and the precuneus. So, according to this data, contagious yawning is literally your brain saying, hey, I am connected to your feelings. But what if emotions have absolutely nothing to do with it? That brings us to theory 2, the brain automatic reflex.
Now, this neurobiological approach views contagious yawning from a much more mechanical, kind of cold perspective, where emotion honestly isn't a factor at all. According to a 2017 study in Current Biology by Georgina Jackson, the urge to yawn is basically an automatic imitation. Think of it like a software program running on your computer. When the visual stimulus of seeing someone yawn enters your brain, it immediately executes the exact same motor movement pattern. And the command center executing this reflex? That's your brain's primary motor cortex.
I mean, have you ever been in the middle of a super important meeting and tried incredibly hard to fight back a yawn? Well, this study found a fascinating rebound effect. It turns out that consciously controlling or stifling a yawn actually increases your tendency to yawn. Crazy, right? Why does that happen? Because resisting it only builds up anxiety and the motor drive in your brain, pretty much ensuring that your next yawn will be completely unstoppable.
Okay, let's move on and examine our final suspect here. Theory 3, brain cooling thermoregulation. Now, this is an incredible hypothesis, and it's entirely rooted in the body's physiological needs. It suggests that yawning functions basically like a biological air conditioner inside your head, and its contagiousness ensures the entire group stays awake and alert at the exact same time. Let's break down how this mechanical AC actually works. Step 1. When you yawn, you drastically stretch your jaw muscles. This stretching acts like a pump, effectively increasing the flow of warm blood right out of the skull. Simultaneously, steps 2 and 3 kick in. You take a deep breath that pulls in cool air from the environment. This mechanical combination literally cools the blood traveling to your brain. And, as we know, a cool brain is a focused, alert brain.
The absolute strongest evidence for this cooling theory comes from a 2014 study by Andrew Gallup and Jorg Masson. They discovered that environmental temperature dictates the rate of contagious yawning. If the outside temperature is extreme, like way too hot or way too cold, the frequency of contagious yawning actually drops drastically. Why? Because the body is already working overtime to regulate temperature in other ways. The contagion only peaks at optimal room temperatures, which perfectly confirms the hypothesis that this is just the body's collective effort to maintain the brain's thermal efficiency.
So that brings us to the conclusion of the three main mechanisms. Let's see how all of these clues actually pull together.
So, the crucial point is this. The reality is that this phenomenon is way too complex to be explained by just one single mechanism. These three theories don't actually compete with each other, they interact brilliantly. On the social side, the brain uses the precuneus to read emotional bonds. On the neurobiological side, mirror neurons and the primary motor cortex literally hijack our muscles for a reflex. And physiologically, the thermal regulation system works behind the scenes to maintain collective alertness. It's a highly sophisticated biological symphony hiding behind just one simple movement.
So what can we really take away from all of this? Well, contagious yawning is definitely not just a sign of being sleepy. It's an incredible window into how our brains evolved to connect, respond, and survive alongside the people in our environment. Which leaves us with a rather amusing thought. Based on that empathy theory we discussed earlier, the next time you yawn in front of someone and they don't yawn back, do they really feel connected to you? Or, hey, maybe their brain just doesn't need any extra cool air. You can be the judge of that. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and let's keep exploring the wonders of the human body.